Hey everybody, welcome back to another draw along. We're gonna get right into it today. We're gonna draw these four box shapes. I call them box shapes because you have to start drawing a box and then you kind of carve the shapes from the box that you draw. I didn't want to do another character today. I wanted to keep it a bit more simple, to just do some basic shapes, and I kind of like the shading of these images, and it's always good practice to draw some boxes and some shapes. I've been enjoying it a little bit more lately, so we'll see how it goes. If the shapes within the boxes are a little intimidating for you, you can just draw boxes along with me. That'll be really good practice. It looks like the top left shape is a very skinny rectangular shape. The one to the right of it's just a little bit wider rectangle. And then the two below it are a bit boxier, but we'll get right into it. As always, I'm gonna start off sketching with my red pencil, and then I'll go over it with the blue pen, and we'll do some of the shading that they have in there. So let's see how this goes. Have been drawing more boxes lately, and it's been fun, and I realized that I have a certain way that I usually create a box. I tend to draw the sides, one of the sides first, usually the left side, I think, and then I come down this side of the box, and then I go up the other side, back this direction, and then up again, and then I draw the opposite side from this one, and then I match these two lines up. But then this is usually where I struggle a little bit, because now I have to imagine where these lines intersect, and then you have the lines that you won't be able to see by the end of it back here, and sometimes I place those a little incorrectly. And even now I've noticed that I have drawn this edge of the box a little wider than this edge of the box. So I'm gonna widen this up a little bit and go there. All right. So this line, and this line that I'm about to draw are all gonna be relatively parallel. And we're not dealing with perspective now and a 2-3 point perspective. So I'm gonna keep that out of it for now. So there we go, there's a box. But then now I want to draw these obscured lines in the back here, and this is where I tend to have a little trouble. So I'm gonna start with this vertical line here. This vertical line, this line, this line, this line, these are all gonna be pretty parallel. And then this line, this line, this line, and this one here, all pretty parallel. If I do it correctly, that is. All right, so we got a box. I feel like it's a little wonky, but there it is. I think I'm gonna draw the other boxes first, and then we'll go back and carve out the shapes. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll get some solid box practice in here back to back. I'm gonna draw this one a little larger. I feel like I made that one small. No, I think you can see the Superman I drew through the page here in my last video. If you didn't see that, go back and check it out. I hope you can hear the wind chimes blowing. It's a bit windy outside today. And if you hear chirping, that's the hummingbirds. I'm doing this so that I can kind of get the angle of this line that I want to draw. And then I'll do the same thing here. Okay, another box there. And then this is going to be a longer rectangle shape here. feel like I made this one a little too big. I think we'll be able to fit the fourth box over here. You know, I'm gonna change this one up a little bit. I'm gonna draw this line next. And it's gonna be this angle. And then this angle, this angle, this angle are pretty similar. I'm gonna draw this line. I see this a lot when people draw boxes. They'll draw long lines that way cross over or way shoot out in the distance. And that's totally fine. You can do that because ultimately we're gonna pen in the exact lines of the box, and it'll all look fine in the end. I think they might like overshoot and draw shooting up this way, shooting up that way, shooting out that way. And that's cool. Okay, so this angle are the same. And then this line comes down. That's where they meet. And then these two corners meet. All right, kind of looks like a computer tower. All right, this one is a bit more boxy. Let's draw, you know what, I'm gonna draw this box even different from the rest. I've seen some people draw boxes like this too, where they draw one face of the box at a time. So there's one face, and we'll come back here and draw the other face. And then we'll draw the top face. And then we'll draw the bottom. Oh no, the back face. Let's do the back face. I think it helps me when I'm drawing the invisible lines in the back to draw this, you know, the up and down line before I draw these lines. All right, we got our 4 boxes there. Hope you can see them all right. The shade, got the morning light coming in the windows here. All right, so now let's see if we can get shapes within these shapes. This one I think is gonna be most challenging. I think I drew it at a different angle. You know what, in fact, I'm gonna erase this real quick and we're just gonna redraw this. It's pretty small, so I don't think it'll take too long to erase and then redraw, and I wanna take up more space here. So let's try this again. I'm gonna lower it. Okay, it's a little bit fatter a box than in the image, but a little bigger now, so I think it'll be easier to create the shape inside. Not perfect, but that's not where we're going for. We're just practicing. All right, so this first shape kind of looks like a tombstone. So it's gonna come up here, and then it's, you know, let me mark about the center of this line here, and then the center of this line here, which if I have the center of this line, I can just take the angle back here, and that'll be about the center there. All right, so we're gonna note that, and then I think from the center, I'm just gonna draw like a curved line coming down into that straight bit. And then the same thing on this side, curved line coming down into that straight bit. And then from here, curved line coming down to the straight. And then over here, curved line coming down into the straight. And I don't think I needed to draw that exactly, because right about here, I don't know if I'm doing this right. I'm just gonna draw a line in here and see how it looks. See if I do it right. All right, it looks a little wonky, but I think it's reading as this arched tombstone shape, so we're gonna keep it for now. What's looking funny here? I don't quite understand. You know what I'm noticing is that this face of the box is a little wider than this face of the box. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe if it was a little bit lower. You know what? We're just gonna leave it as is. This isn't about perfection. All right, this one's gonna be kind of fun. Got a couple of recessed, squared off shapes in this corner and this corner. And then this top left corner and this bottom right corner, they're jutting out a little bit. So, and it looks like they recess about half the length of this line. So I'm gonna go about half the length of that line. I'm gonna draw a little line coming this way. And then half the length of this line, and it'll come back. Cool. So then this is, all right, so let's do half the line this way. There's no rhyme or reason for how I'm doing this. I'm just kind of looking at some points. So this center mark here is gonna come back up this way, and it's gonna line up with the vertical line coming from here. Okay, and then that'll come down. I don't know if that's exactly half there, but I think it'll work out. And then I'm gonna bring this line down here, and it will match up with the vertical line here. Okay, and we can actually draw this line all the way through. Oh yeah, that line does kind of go all the way through. It's like the bisecting line there. Okay. And then this, we'll find the center line here and draw up, draw a line up, and then from this point, angle back, so we have that bit, okay. And then from here, this will go down. Oh, I guess I could have just drawn bisecting lines going vertically and horizontally. That's cool. I'll remember that for next time. Okay, so now we have our two squares that are popping out and almost done with the two squares that are pushed back in. What we need to do now is from this point, we need to draw a line back. And from this point, we need to draw a line going this way. And those will meet. And then from that corner, going straight up. And then from here, this line going that way. And I think that's it. So we have our two recessed lines, two recessed squares, or two squares that are sticking out. It'll be a bit more obvious when we start penning in what we got there. All right, this one, I think I made this box a little skinny, but we'll still make this little, it kind of looks like a barn. So I'm just gonna make a little, almost, that's a little higher than center. And then what we're doing is drawing a triangle on the top. So we're gonna find the center of this line. And we're gonna draw from the center there down to this side. And then from here down to that side. And then this line will come all the way back. And we're not gonna see this line here, so I'm not gonna draw it. And then from here, where these two lines meet, I'm just gonna draw that line back. And from this point, we'll draw this side of the triangle. All right, actually we're gonna keep that line there more visible because I think it's gonna come into play when we start shading, because this is gonna be one plane that we're shading here, and then we're gonna shade this plane a little bit differently. All right, and then for the fourth and final box, this one's kind of cool. I drew all these boxes kind of the wrong shape, making it a little more challenging for myself, I think. So this is basically, this is just gonna have a rounded corner here. So let me make sure I can clearly see my box line. Round that out and go straight down. Oops, I think I messed that up a little. Well, this is hard. And I'll do the same thing over here. I'm trying to make it a similar curve. I don't know if I'm executing that, but we're trying. All right, we'll leave it like that. All right, we did our best there. Let's go in with the pen and see if we can't solidify some of this stuff, make it look cool. All right, I'm gonna try to do this in one fell swoop. Touch the center, come back around. Nice. I might change this up a little bit so that I can, I'm gonna turn my sketchbook a little. I wanna draw this angle right here. Okay, that's good. All right, now I'm gonna try to do this all at once. Yeah, it kind of looks like a tombstone. All right, let's get this one going. And you got to be careful here that you stay focused and you draw, because I have lines over here that I drew with my pencil, but I don't want to go over those lines with the pen, so I got to really pay attention to where it is I'm drawing my lines. Okay, got that. So you got the two squares popping out and the two recessed square areas there. Nice. All right, let's do the barn. I have a guest in the house and she's trying to be really quiet right now so she's trying to move around without making any noise. Very appreciative. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna turn. I gotta turn the sketchbook if I wanna do this as accurately as I can. Okay, I'm gonna draw this line a little bit lighter here. And this is gonna be. This face and this face are going to be shaded a little bit differently, so I wanted to and you know what, you can actually see they drew some X's here to find the center, and they drew center lines in all of these. Actually, maybe I should start practicing that next time I do some shapes. Maybe it'll help me be a little bit more accurate. We'll see. Let's see if we can get this curve and this curve. Nice. It's not as curvy looking. You know what? I mean, they're all over the place. What can I say? I'm not awesome at I'm not good, not awesome at drawing. You know, that's why we're here practicing. All right, the lines, the shading for this are pretty simple. They're kind of coming up and rounding a little bit at the top as it goes over, following the shape of the shape. All right, we'll just leave that like that. And then for these faces here, all four of these faces all have some vertical lines being drawn. I'm gonna go a little bit lighter. And then this face and this face are all gonna be lines going this direction. It's gonna be a little bit, those lines are closer together and it's all a little bit darker. Nice. All right. So with this barn shape, yeah, I'm gonna do this. These lines are a little bit more far apart, and then the lines going this way are a little bit closer together. So try to make that happen. This will be a little bit darker here. I'm drawing both up and down here for no particular reason that I felt like I could, so. This one has some lines here similar to this one. I'm gonna pull these down instead of drawing up. And I'm almost immediately thinking I look silly. I'm not happy with anything I'm drawing today. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You can't be 100% every day. All right, and then these lines are vertical. Make sure I'm keeping everything in frame here. There we go. And bosses. I think what I'd like to do is darken the edges a little bit. I think that might make it pop a little more. Maybe it'll make it look a little cooler. Who knows? Just gonna do the outline of all of them. Oops. All right, there we go. We got 4 shapes, where once was nothing, now is 4 shapes. It was harder than I thought. Not really happy with the shading bits. It is what it is. If you drew some shapes, I hope you like how they turned out, or if you didn't, I hope you learned something along the way. I think maybe I should practice some of these shapes a little bit more since I found it so challenging. But thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.